An Inspector Calls, written by J.B Priestley, Act 3.
You know, don't you?
Yes, we know.
Eric, I can't believe it. There must be some mistake. You don't know what we've been saying.
It's been a good job for him, doesn't it?
Why?
Because Mother's been blaming everything on the young man who got this girl into trouble and saying he shouldn't escape and should be made an example of.
That's enough, Sheila.
You haven't made it any easier for me, have you, Mother?
But I didn't know it was you. I never dreamt. Besides, you're not the type. You don't get drunk.
Of course he does. I told you he did.
You told her? Why, you little sneak?
No, that's not fair, Eric. I could have told her months ago, but of course I didn't. I only told her tonight because I knew everything was going to come out. And it's simply bound to come out tonight, so I thought that she might as well know in advance. And don't forget, I've been through it already.
Sheila, I simply don't understand your attitude.
Neither do I. If you'd had any sense of loyalty...
Just a minute, Mr. Birling. There will be plenty of time when I've gone for you all to adjust your family relationships. But now I must hear what your son has to tell me, and I'll be obliged if you will let us get on without any further interruptions. Now then.
Could I have a drink first?
No!
Yes! I know he's your son and this is your house, but look at him. He needs a drink now just to see him through.
All right. Go on.
Eric pours himself a whiskey, handling the decanter with smooth familiarity. The others look on, in silent disapproval.
I understand a lot of things that I didn't understand before.
Don't start on that, I want to get on. When did you first meet this girl?
One night last November.
Where did you meet her?
In the Palace Bar. I've been there an hour or so with other three chaps. I was a bit squiffy.
What happened then?
I began talking to her and stood her a few drinks. I was rather gone by the time we had to go.
Was she drunk too?
She told me afterwards that she was a bit chiefly because she did not have much to eat that day.
Why had she gone
She
there?
wasn't the usual sort, but, well, I suppose she didn't know what to do. There was some woman who wanted to help her go there. I never quite understood that.
You went with her to her lodgings that night?
Look, I insisted, it seems. I'm not very clear about it, but afterwards she told me she didn't want me to go in, but that, well, I was in that state when a chap easily turns nasty, and I threatened to make a row.
So she let you in?
Yes, and that's when it happened. God, and I don't even remember. That's the hellish thing. Oh my God! How stupid is it all?
Oh, Eric, how could you?
Sheila, take your mother along to the drawing room.
I want
You
to...
heard what I said. Go on, Syble.
Mr. Birling goes to open the door while Sheila hauls Miss Birling out of her seat. He slams the door behind them and comes back in. When did you meet her again?
About a fortnight afterwards.
What, by appointment?
No, and I couldn't remember her name or where she lived. It was all very vague. But I happened to see her again in the Palace Bar.
More drinks?
Yes. Though that time I wasn't so bad.
But you took her home again?
Yes. We talked a bit. She told me something about herself, and I told her my name and what I did.
And you made love again?
Yes, I wasn't in love with her or anything, but I liked her. Look, I mean, she was pretty and a good sport.
So you had to go to bed with her?
Well, I'm old enough to be married, aren't I? And I'm not married. I hate these fat old tarts around the town. The ones I see some of your respectable friends
I don't
with.
want any of that talk from you.
I don't want any of it from either of you. Settle it afterwards. Did you arrange to see each other after that?
Yes. And a time after that. And a time after that. She told me she thought she was going to have a baby. She wasn't quite sure. And then she was.
And of course, she was very worried about it.
Yes. And so was I. I was in a hell of a state about it.
Did she suggest that you ought to marry her?
No, she didn't want to marry. Said I didn't love her In a way, she treated me as if I was a kid, though I was nearly as old as she was.
So, what did you propose to do?
Well, she hadn't a job. I didn't feel like trying again for one. And she had no money left. So I insisted on giving her money to keep her going until she refused to take any more.
How much did you give her altogether?
I suppose, about £50.
£50? On top of drinking and going around the town? Where did you get £50 from?
That's my question too.
I got it from the office.
My office?
Yes.
You mean you stole the money?
Not really.
What do you mean, not really?
Eric does not reply as Mrs. Birling and Sheila enter the room.
This isn't my fault.
I'm sorry, Arthur, but I simply couldn't stay in there. I had to know what's happening.
Well, I can tell you what's happening. He's admitted he was responsible for the girl's condition, and now he's telling me he supplied her with the money he stole from the office.
Eric, you stole money.
No, not really. I intended to pay it back.
We've heard that story before. How could you have paid it back?
I'd managed somehow. I had some money.
I don't understand how you could take as much as that out of the office without somebody knowing.
There are some small accounts to collect, and I asked for cash.
Gave the firm's receipt and then kept the money, eh?
Yes.
You must give me a list of those accounts. I've got to cover this up as soon as I can. You damned fool. Why didn't you come to me when you found yourself in this mess?
Because you're not the kind of father a chap could go to when he's in trouble. That's why.
Don't talk to me like that. Your trouble is, you've been spoiled.
And my trouble is that I haven't much time. You'll be able to divide the responsibility between you when I've gone. Just one last question. That's all. The girl discovered that this money you were giving her was stolen, didn't she?
Yes. And that's the worst of all. She wouldn't take any more, and she didn't want to see me again. Yeah. But how did you know that? Did she tell you?
No, she told me nothing. I never spoke to her.
She told Mother.
Sheila.
Oh, well, he has to know.
She told you. Did she come here? But no. Then she couldn't have done. She didn't even know where I lived here. What happened?
Mrs. Birling, distressed, shakes her head, but does not reply.
Come on. Don't just look at me like that. Tell me. Tell me. What happened?
I'll tell you. She went to your mother's committee for help after she'd done with you. Your mother refused that help.
Then you killed her. She came to you to protect me, and you turned her away. Yes, and you killed her. And the child she had too. My child, your grandchild. You killed them both. Damn you. Damn you.
No, Eric, please, I didn't know. I didn't understand.
You don't understand anything. You never did. You never even tried, have you?
Don't!
You hysterical young fool! Get back, or I'll
Stop! And be quiet for a moment and listen to me. I don't need to know any more. Neither do you. This girl killed herself and died a horrible death. But each of you helped to kill her. Remember that. Never forget it. But then I don't think you ever will. Remember what you did, Miss Birling. You turned her away when she most needed help. You refused her even when the pitiable little bit of organised charity you had in your power to grant her. Remember what you did.
My God, I'm not likely to forget.
Just used her for the end of a stupid drunken evening as if she was an animal. A thing, not a person. No, you won't forget.
I know. I had a turn out of a job. I started it.
You helped, but you didn't start it. You started it. She wanted 25 shillings a week instead of 22 and 6p. You made her pay a heavy price for that, and now she'll make you pay a heavier price still.
Look, Inspector, I'd give thousands. Yes, thousands.
You're offering the money at the wrong time, Mr. Birling. The inspector buttons his coat and surveys them sardonically. No, I don't think any of you will forget. Nor that young man, Croft, though he at least had some affection for her and made her happy for a time. Well, Eva Smith's gone. You can't do her any more harm, and you can't do her any good now either. You can't even say, "I'm sorry, Eva Smith."
It's the worst of it.
But just remember this. One Eva Smith has gone, but there are millions and millions of Eva Smiths and John Smiths still left with us, with their lives, their hopes and fears, their suffering and chance of happiness, all intertwined with our lives and what we think and say and do. We don't live alone. We are members of one body. We are responsible for each other. And I tell you that the time will soon come when, if men will not learn that lesson, then they will be taught it in fire and bloody anguish. Good night. The inspector walks straight out, leaving them staring in a subdued silence. Sheila cries quietly. Mrs. Birling collapses into her chair. Eric broods, his fingers moving desperately over his empty glass. Mr. Birling hears the front door slam, looks gloomily at the others, then pours himself a drink, which he hastily swallows.
You're the one I blame for this.
I bet I am.
Yes, and you don't realise it yet. All you've done. Most of this is bound to come out. There'll be public scandal.
Well, I don't care now.
You don't seem to care about anything. But I care. I was almost certain for a knighthood in the next honours list.
Oh, for God's sakes. What does it matter now whether they give you a knighthood or not?
It doesn't matter to you. Apparently nothing matters to you. But it may interest you to know that until every penny of that money you stole from us is repaid, you'll work for nothing. And there's going to be no more of this drinking around the town and picking up women in the palace bar.
I should think not. Eric, I'm absolutely ashamed of you.
Well, I don't blame you. But don't forget, I'm ashamed of you as well. Yes, both of you.
Drop that! There's every excuse for what both your mother and I did. It turned out unfortunately. That's all.
That's all.
Well, what have you to say?
I don't even know where to begin.
Then don't begin. Nobody wants you to.
I behaved badly too. I know I did, and I'm ashamed of it. But now you're beginning all over again to pretend that nothing much has happened.
Nothing much has happened. Haven't I already said that there'll be a public scandal? Unless we're lucky. And who here will suffer from that more than I will?
But that's not what I'm talking about. I don't care about that. The point is, you don't seem to have learnt anything.
Don't I? Well, you're quite wrong there. I've learnt plenty tonight. And you don't want me to tell you what I've learnt, I hope. When I look back on tonight, when I think of what I was feeling when the five of us sat down to dinner at that table...
Yes. And do you remember what you said to Gerald and me after dinner? When you were feeling so pleased with yourself, you told us that a man has to make his own way, look after himself and mind his own business, that we were to take any notice of those cranks who tell us that everybody has to look after themselves, as if we all were mixed up together. Do you remember? Yes. And then one of those cranks walked in. The inspector. I didn't notice you telling him it's every man for himself.
Is that when the inspector came? Just after Father had said that?
Yes. What of it?
Now, what's the matter, Sheila?
It's queer. It's very queer.
I know what you're going to say, because I've been wondering myself.
Oh, it doesn't matter now, does it? Of course, but he wasn't really a police inspector.
Well, if he wasn't, it matters the devil of a lot. Makes all the difference.
No, it doesn't.
Don't talk rubbish. Of course it does.
Well, it doesn't to me, and it oughtn't to you either.
Don't be childish, Sheila.
I'm not being. If you want to know, it's you two are being childish, trying not to face the fact.
I won't have that sort of talk. Any more of that and you leave this room.
That'll be terrible for her, won't it?
I'm going anyhow in a minute or two, but don't you see? If it's all that's come out now is true, then it doesn't matter who made us confess, and it is true, wasn't it? You turned that girl out of one job and I had her turned out of another, and Gerald kept her at the time was supposed to be too busy seeing me, and well, Eric, well, we all know what Eric did, and Mother hardened her heart and gave her the final push that finished her. And that's what's important. Not whether a man is a police officer or not.
He was our police inspector, all right.
Oh, that's what I mean, Eric. But if it's any comfort to you, and it wasn't to me, I have an idea, and I had it all alone vaguely, that there's something curious about him. He never really seemed like an ordinary police inspector.
You're right. I felt it too. Didn't you?
Well, I must say his manner was quite extraordinary. So rude and assertive.
Then look at the way he talked to me, telling me to shut up and so on. He must have known I was an ex-Lord Mayor and a magistrate and so forth. Besides, the way he talked, you remember. I mean, they don't talk like that. I've had dealings with dozens of them.
All right. But that doesn't make any real difference, you know?
Of course it does.
No, she's right. It doesn't.
That's comic. That is, coming from you. You're the one it makes most difference to. You've confessed to theft, and now he knows all about it, and he can bring it out at the inquest, and then if necessary, carry it to court. He can't do anything to your mother and Sheila and me, except perhaps make us look a bit ashamed of ourselves in public. But as for you, he can ruin you, you know.
We hardly ever told him anything he didn't know. Did you notice that?
That's nothing. He had a bit of information left by the girl, and made a few smart guesses, but the fact remains that if we hadn't talked so much, he'd have little to go on. And really, when I come to think of it, why you all had to go letting everything come out like that beats me.
It's alright talking like that now, but he made us confess.
He certainly didn't make me confess, as you call it. I told him quite plainly that I thought I had done no more than my duty.
Oh, Mother!
The fact is, you allowed yourselves to be bluffed. Yes, bluffed.
Now really, Arthur?
No, not you, my dear, but these two. That fellow obviously didn't like us. He was prejudiced from the start. Probably a socialist or some sort of crank. He talked like one. And then, instead of standing up to him, you let him bluff you into talking about your private affairs. You ought to have stood up to him.
Well, I didn't notice you standing up to him.
No, because by that time you'd admitted you'd been taking money. What chance had I after that? I was a fool not to have insisted upon seeing him alone.
That wouldn't have worked.
Of course he wouldn't.
Really, from the way you children talk, you might be wanting to help him instead of us. Now just be quiet so your father can decide what we ought to do.
Yes. Well, we'll have to do something, and get to work quickly too.
As he hesitates, the front doorbell rings. They look at each other in alarm.
Now, who's this? Had I better go?
No, Edna'll go. I asked her to wait up to make us some tea.
It might be Gerald coming back.
Yes, of course. I'd forgotten about him.
Edna cautiously enters the room.
It's Mr. Croft.
Gerald appears, teetering in the doorway, and Edna swiftly exits.
I hope you don't mind my coming back.
No, of course not, Gerald.
I had a special reason for coming. When did that inspector go?
Only a few minutes ago. He put us all through it.
Sheila.
Oh, Gerald might as well know.
Now, we needn't bother him with all that stuff.
All right, but we're all in it. Up to the neck. It got worse after you left.
How did he behave?
He was frightening.
If you ask me, he behaved in a very peculiar and suspicious manner.
The rude way he spoke to Mr. Birling and me, it was quite extraordinary.
They all turn, looking inquiringly at Gerald.
You know something. What is it?
That man wasn't a police officer.
What?
Are you certain?
I'm almost certain. That's what I came back to tell you.
Good lad. You asked about him, eh?
Yes. I met a police sergeant I know down the road. I asked him about this Inspector Goole and described the chap carefully to him. He swore there wasn't any Inspector Goole or anybody like him on the force here.
You didn't tell him
No! Passed it off by saying I'd been having an argument with somebody. But the point is, this sergeant was dead certain they hadn't any inspector at all. like the chap who came here.
By jingo! A fake!
Didn't I tell you? Didn't I say I couldn't imagine a real police inspector talking like that to us?
Well, you were right. There isn't any such inspector. We've been had.
I'm going to make certain of this.
What are you going to do?
Ring up the Chief Constable, Colonel Roberts.
Careful what you say, dear.
Of course. Bramley 8752. I was going to do this anyhow. I've had my suspicions all along. Colonel Roberts, please. Arthur Birling here. Oh, Roberts, Birling here. Sorry to ring you up so late, but can you tell me if an Inspector Goole has joined your staff lately? Goole. Goole. A new man. Tall, clean-shaven. I see. Yes. Well, that settles it. Oh, no, just a little argument we were having here. Yes, good night. There's no Inspector Goole on the police. That man definitely wasn't a police inspector at all. As Gerald says, we've been had.
I felt it all the time. He never talked like one. He never even looked like one.
This makes a difference, you know. In fact, it makes all the difference.
Of course.
So I suppose we're all nice people now.
If you've nothing more sensible than that to say, Sheila, you'd better keep quiet.
She's right, though.
And you'd better keep quiet anyhow. If that had been a police inspector and he'd heard you confess...
Arthur, careful!
Yes.
You see, Gerald, you haven't to know the rest of our crimes and idiocies.
That's all right. I don't want to. What do you make of this business now? Was it a hoax?
Of course. Somebody put that fellow up to coming here and hoaxing us. There are people in this town who dislike me enough to do that. We ought to have seen through it from the first. In the ordinary way, I believe I would have done. But coming like that, bang on top of our little celebration, just when we were all feeling so pleased with ourselves, naturally it took me by surprise.
I wish I'd been here when that man first arrived. I'd have asked him a few questions before I allowed him to ask us any.
It's all right saying that now.
I was the only one of you who didn't give in to him, and now I'm saying we must discuss this business quietly and sensibly and decide if there's anything to be done about it.
You're absolutely right, my dear. Already we've discovered one important fact, that fellow was a fraud and we've been hoaxed. And that may not be the end of it by any means.
I'm sure it isn't.
You are? Eric, sit down.
I'm alright.
All right, you're anything but all right, and you needn't stand there as if
What?
As if you'd nothing to do with us. Just remember your own position, young man. If anybody's up to the neck in this business, you are, so you'd better take some interest in it.
I do take some interest in it. I take too much. That's my trouble.
It's mine too.
Now listen, you two. If you're still feeling on edge, then the least you can do is keep quiet. Leave this to us. I'll admit that fellow's antics rattled us a bit, but we found him out, and all we have to do is keep our heads. Now it's our turn.
Our turn to do what?
To behave sensibly, Sheila, which is more than you're doing.
What's the use of talking about behaving sensibly? You're beginning to pretend now that nothing really happened at all. And I can't see it like that. This girl's still dead, isn't she?
That's what I feel, Eric, and it's what they don't seem to understand.
Whoever that chap was, the fact remains I did what I did. And Mother did what she did, and the rest of you did what you did to her. It still remains the same rotten story whether it's been told to a police officer or to somebody else. According to you, I ought to feel a lot better. I stole some money. Gerald, you might as well know. I don't care. Let him know. This money's not the important thing. It's what happened to the girl and what we all did that matters. I still feel the same about it, and that's why I don't feel like sitting down and have a nice cosy talk.
And Eric's absolutely right. It's the best thing any of us has said or done tonight, and it makes me feel a bit less ashamed of us. You're all beginning to pretend all over again.
Look, for God's sake!
Arthur!
Well, my dear, they're so damned exasperating. They just won't try to understand our position or to see the difference between a lot of stuff like this coming out in a private and downright public scandal.
And I say the girl's dead, and we all helped to kill her. And that's what matters.
And I say, either stop shouting or get out. Some fathers I know would have kicked you out of the house anyhow by this time, so hold your tongue if you want to stay here.
I don't give a damn now whether I stay or not.
You'll stay here long enough to give me an account of that money you stole. Yes, and pay it back too.
But that won't bring Eva Smith back to life, will it?
And it doesn't alter the fact that we all helped kill her.
But is it a fact?
Of course it is. We don't know the whole story yet.
I suppose you're going to prove now that you didn't spend the last summer keeping this girl instead of seeing me, eh?
I did keep a girl last summer. I've admitted it. And I'm sorry, Sheila.
Well, I must admit that you came out of it better than the rest of us. The inspector said that.
He wasn't an inspector.
Well, he inspected us, alright. And don't let's start dodging and pretending now. Between us, we drove that girl to commit suicide.
Did we? Who says so? Because I say there was no more real evidence we did than there was that chap was a police inspector.
Of course there is.
No, there isn't. Look at it. He comes in here pretending to be a police officer. It's a hoax of some kind. Now, what does he do? Very artfully, working on bits of information he's picked up here and there, he bluffs us into confessing that we've all been mixed up in this girl's life in one way or another.
And so we have.
But how do you know it's the same girl?
Now wait a minute. Let's see how that would work. No, it wouldn't.
We all admitted it.
All right, you all admitted to something to do with a girl, but how do you know it's the same girl?
Gerald looks around in triumph.
Look here, Mr. Birling. You sack a girl called Eva Smith. You've forgotten, but he shows you a photograph of her, and then you remember, right?
Yes, that part's straightforward enough. But what then?
Well, then he happens to know that Sheila once had a girl sacked from Millward's shop. He tells us it's the same Eva Smith, and then he shows her a photograph that she recognises.
Yes, the same photograph.
How do you know it's the same photograph? Did you see the one your father looked at?
No, I didn't.
And did your father see the one he showed you?
No, he didn't. And I see what you mean now.
We've no proof it was the same photograph, and therefore no proof it was the same girl. Now, take me. I never was shown a photograph, remember? He caught me out suddenly, announcing this girl changed her name to Daisy Renton. I gave myself away at once, because I'd known a Daisy Renton.
And there wasn't the slightest proof that this Daisy Renton was really Eva Smith. We've only his word for it that he was a police inspector, and we'd know now he was lying, so he could have been lying all the time.
Of course he could have. Probably was. Now, what happened after I left?
I was upset because Eric had left the house, and this man said that if Eric didn't come back, he'd have to go and find him. Well, that made me feel worse still, and his manner was so severe and he seemed so confident. Then quite suddenly he said I'd seen Eva Smith only 2 weeks ago.
Those were his exact words.
And like a fool, I said yes I had.
I don't see now why you did that. She didn't call herself Eva Smith when she came to see you at the committee, did she?
No, of course she didn't. But feeling so worried when he suddenly turned on me with those questions, I answered more or less as he wanted me to answer.
But Mother, don't forget that he showed you the photograph of the girl before that, and you obviously recognised it.
Did anybody else see it?
No, he showed it only to me.
Then, don't you see? There's still no proof it was really the same girl. He might have showed you the photograph of any girl who applied to the committee. And how do we know she was really Eva Smith or Daisy Renton?
Gerald's dead right. He could have used a different photograph each time and we'd be none the wiser. We may all have been recognising different girls.
Exactly. Did he ask you to identify a photograph, Eric?
No. He didn't need a photograph by the time he got round to me. But obviously it must have been the girl I knew who went to see Mother.
Why must it?
She said she had to help because she wouldn't take any more stolen money. And a girl I knew had told me that already.
Even then, that may have all been nonsense.
I don't see much nonsense about it when a girl goes and kills herself. You lot may be letting yourselves out nicely, but I can't.
Wait a minute. Don't be in such a hurry to put yourself into court. That interview with your mother could have been just as much a put-up job like all this police inspector business. The whole damned thing can have been a piece of bluff.
How can it? The girl's dead, isn't she?
What girl? There was probably 4 or 5 different girls.
That doesn't matter to me. The one I knew is dead.
Is she? How do we know she is?
That's right. You've got it. How do we know any girl killed herself today?
Now answer that one. Let's look at it from this fellow's point of view. We're having a little celebration here and feeling rather pleased with ourselves. Now he has to work a trick on us. Well, the first thing he has to do is give us such a shock that after that he can just bluff us all the time. So he starts right off. A girl has just died in the infirmary. She drank some strong disinfectant, died in agony, and
Alright, don't pile it on.
There you are, you see. Just repeating it shakes you a bit. And that's what he had to do. Shake us at once, and then start questioning us until we didn't know where we were. Oh, let's admit that he had the laugh of us, all right.
Oh, ye could have laughed his head off. If I knew it really was all a hoax.
I'm convinced it is. No police inquiry, no one girl that this all happened to, no scandal.
And no suicide.
We can settle that at once.
How?
By ringing up the infirmary. Either there's a dead girl there, or there isn't.
It will look a bit queer, won't it? Ringing up at this time of night.
I don't mind doing it.
And if there isn't...
Anyway, we'll see.
Gerald walks to the telephone confidently and turns the rotary dial.
Brumley, 8986. Is that the infirmary? This is Mr. Gerald Croft, of Croft Limited. Yes. We're rather worried about one of our employees. Have you had a girl brought in this afternoon who committed suicide by drinking disinfectant? Or any like suicide? Yes, I'll wait.
The Birlings look on in tense anticipation.
Yes? You're certain of that? I see. Well, thank you very much. Good night. No girl has died in there today. Nobody's been brought in after drinking disinfectant. They haven't had a suicide for months.
There you are. Proof positive. The whole story's just a lot of moonshine. Nothing but an elaborate sell. Nobody likes to be sold as badly as that. But, for all that... Gerald, have a drink.
Thanks. I think I could do with one right now.
So could I.
And I must say, Gerald, you've argued this very cleverly, and I'm most grateful.
Well, you see, while I was out of the house, I had some time to cool off and think things out a little.
Yes, he didn't keep you on the run as he did the rest of us. I'll admit now he gave me a bit of a scare at the time, but I'd a special reason for not wanting a public scandal. just now. Well, here's to us. Come on, Sheila, don't look like that. All over now.
The worst part is, but you're forgetting one thing I still can't forget. Everything we said really had happened, and if it didn't end tragically, then it's lucky for us, but it might have done.
But the whole thing's different now. Come, you can see that, can't you? You all helped to kill her. And I wish you could have seen the look on your faces when he said that.
Sheila strides toward the door.
Going to bed, young woman?
I want to get out of this. It frightens me the way that you talk.
Oh, nonsense! You'll have a good laugh over it yet. Look, you'd better ask Gerald for that ring you gave back to him, hadn't you? Then you'll feel better.
Oh, you're pretending everything just as it was before.
I'm not!
No, but these others are.
Well, isn't it? We've been had, that's all.
Oh, so nothing really happened, so there's nothing to do or be sorry for, nothing to learn? We can all go on behaving just as we did.
Well, why shouldn't we?
I tell you, whoever that inspector was, it was anything but a joke. You knew it then, you began to learn something, and now you've stopped, and you're ready to go on in the same old way.
And you're not, eh?
No, because I remember what he said, how he looked, and what he made me feel, fire and blood and anguish, and it really frightens me, the way that you talk, and I can't listen to any more of it.
I agree with Sheila. It frightens me too.
Well, go to bed then, and don't stand there being hysterical.
They're overtired. In the morning they'll be as amused as we are.
Everything's all right now, Sheila.
Gerald earnestly holds out the ring once more.
What about this ring?
No, not yet. It's too soon, I must think.
Now look at the pair of them, the famous younger generation who know it all, and they can't even take a joke.
Silence descends on the room. Mr. Birling hesitantly waddles over to answer the phone.
Yes? Mr. Birling speaking. What? Here! That was the police. A girl has just died, on her way to the infirmary, after swallowing some disinfectant, and the police inspector is on his way here to ask some questions.